Good morning, all. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Clarity with Grace. As always, I am really glad you're here. And we always start off by letting you know that this is not a webinar, it's not a training, and it's not a sales call. This is our table. And this is the one place each week where we can slow down, tell the truth, and talk honestly about what it looks like to build drip funnels and build our businesses with clarity, steadiness, and peace. So, as always, thank you for being here with me this morning. I'm going to jump right in. Today, I want to talk about something that I think matters in business, in leadership, and honestly, in every relationship we care about. I want to talk about disagreement. And more specifically, I want to talk about how Antonio and I can disagree with each other and still have a great relationship, a great business relationship, a great personal relationship. Because, those things, they don't happen because we agree on everything. No, we absolutely do not agree on everything. Okay. There are times when Antonio sees something one way and I see it completely different. And then there are times when one of us feels strongly about a decision and the other person is sitting there like, nope, I'm usually that person. Okay. He can always tell. But I think sometimes people look at good partnerships from the outside and assume that the people involved always have to be on the same page. No, that's not what makes a partnership strong. If anything, I think one of the things that makes a relationship strong is knowing that you can disagree without destroying the relationship. Okay. You can challenge each other without disrespecting each other. Right. You can have a difficult conversation without making the other person your enemy. Okay. You can say, I don't agree with you, and still mean I respect you, I value you, I trust you, and we're going to figure this out. So, my thought for this week is agreement is not the requirement, respect is. Okay. So, today, I want to talk about what I'm seeing, what I'm learning, what I'm wrestling with, and what I'm appreciating as I think about communication, disagreement, respect, and what it takes to build a strong relationship while building something together. So, the topic of this call is we don't have to agree to stay aligned. We don't have to agree to stay aligned. What I'm seeing, let's jump right in. What I'm seeing is that people sometimes confuse a healthy relationship with a relationship that has very little conflict. I don't think those are the same things. Two people can agree all the time because one of them is afraid to speak. Two people can appear peaceful because difficult conversations are being avoided. And two people can work together for years and never really tell each other what they think. And that's not necessarily harmony. Sometimes that's silence. And silence can look peaceful for a while until it's not. Okay. So what I'm seeing is my relationship with Antonio is that what I'm seeing in my relationship with Antonio is that disagreement itself is not necessarily the dangerous part. No, the dangerous part is how people handle disagreement. Right. So some questions that we can ask ourselves and questions that I ask myself. Hey, do I make the disagreement personal? Sometimes I do. Do I attack the person instead of discussing the issue? Sometimes I do. Do I assume bad intentions? Sometimes I do. Do I stop listening because I'm already preparing my response? Sometimes, sometimes I do. Do I need to win? Sometimes I think I do. Okay. Do I need the other person to admit that I was right? All these are going to be sometimes. Okay. Sometimes I do. Okay. Do I become disrespectful because I'm frustrated? Now that I don't do. Okay. I do not do. Or can I stay in the conversation? Can I listen? I can. Can I explain what I see without treating what he sees as ridiculous? Yeah. Can I recognize that Antonio may be seeing something that I cannot see yet? Most definitely. And can he recognize that I may be seeing something that he has not considered? He does all the time. That is what partnership gives you. Okay. Another set of eyes, another way of thinking, another set of experiences, and another perspective. And if I only want Antonio's perspective when it agrees with mine, then I don't really want a partner. I want to echo. There is a complete difference. Okay. I think strong partnerships they require enough security to say, I want you to tell me what you really think, even when I may not like the answer. And I don't know if y'all know Antonio T. Smith Jr., but he's going to tell you what he thinks, even if he knows you're not going to like the answer. Okay. So that's what I'm seeing. What I'm learning. What I'm learning is that good communication is about creating enough safety for the truth to be spoken, not just about talking, right? That matters. That really matters. Because if Antonio has to carefully calculate every sentence because he thinks I'm going to take everything personally, then we got a problem. Okay. Years ago, could have been just 2 years ago. But I remember him telling me, I don't want to have to walk on eggshells every time I talk to you. That's what that means. That's what I just said, that if he has to carefully calculate every sentence, yeah, that's what that means. And the same thing is true for me. If I can't tell him, I don't think that's the right move, or I understand why you're saying that, but I disagree, or I need you to hear me on this, then eventually the things that aren't being said start affecting everything else. All right. Communication requires honesty, but honesty by itself is not enough. Honesty without respect can become cruelty. You can tell the truth and still be unnecessarily harsh, right? You can be technically correct and still damage the relationship. So what I'm learning is that good communication needs both truth and respect. I can tell the truth without trying to embarrass Antonio. I can disagree without belittling his intelligence. I can be frustrated without questioning his character. And when he disagrees with me, I have to give him that same space, right? Reason being, respect has to work in both directions. I'm also learning the importance of separating the person, the problem, and the decision. Okay, I'm going to say that again. I'm also learning the importance of separating the person, the problem, and the decision, because those are three totally different things. Antonio's not the problem because we disagree. I'm not the problem because I disagree. There's simply something in front of us that we need to work through. Maybe it's a product decision or a strategy. Maybe it's timing. Could be money or how something should be communicated. Maybe it's how quickly we should move. Whatever it is, the goal should be what's best for what we are building, not who wins, right? That changes the conversation. If both of us are trying to protect drift funnels, serve the people we're building for, and make the strongest decision we can, then disagreement doesn't have to mean division, right? We could be standing on different sides of an issue and still be standing on the same side of the mission, right? That's a big, big distinction. So that's what I'm learning. What I'm wrestling with. What I'm wrestling with is that knowing how to communicate well and actually doing it in the moment are two different things. It's easy, easy, easy to talk about patience when nobody is testing your patience. It's easy to talk about listening when you agree with what the other person is saying. And it's also easy to talk about respect when the conversation is comfortable. The real test is when you're tired, right? When you're frustrated, when you believe the other person is completely wrong, when you have already explained yourself 3 times, when the decision matters, and when there's pressure. That's when communication gets tested. And I'm still learning how to slow myself down in those moments, right? Sometimes I got to ask myself, am I listening to understand Antonio, or am I listening for the pause where I can jump back in? Those aren't the same things. Sometimes I got to remind myself that his disagreement is not disrespect. Sometimes someone saying, I don't think that's right, feels different from what they actually said, especially when you care deeply about the thing being discussed, right? And I think as leaders, we have to become aware of that. You know, we can't make everybody around us responsible for managing every emotion we experience. No. You know, there's times when I need to sit with something, or when I need to think before I respond. And then there are times when we might need to come back to a conversation. Also, there's times when one of us has to be willing to say, you know what? I was wrong about that. Right? That might be one of the hardest sentences in business. You know what? I was wrong about that. But it might also be one of the healthiest. Okay. If my goal is always to prove that I was right, then eventually people stop telling me when I'm wrong. Right. And that is very dangerous for a leader. I need people around me who can tell me the truth. And Antonio needs that too. We all do. Right. So this is why Antonio makes it his mission to always tell me the truth. Okay. He does, y'all know him. He don't sugarcoat nothing. Straight with no chaser. Okay. But I need it. And I know I need it. Okay. It may not feel great all the time, but I know I need it. What I'm appreciating. What I'm appreciating is that disagreement does not scare me the way it once might have. There's something powerful about knowing that the relationship can hold a difficult conversation. I appreciate that Antonio and I can disagree and still talk. We can disagree and still laugh. We can disagree and still work. We can disagree and still respect each other's gifts, right? And we can disagree and still know that the other person isn't going anywhere just because the conversation became uncomfortable. I am here to tell you that there's a lot of peace in that. I also appreciate that we are different. I don't need Antonio to think exactly like me. Do you know if he thought exactly like me, drill funnels wouldn't be here? Man, please. If he thought exactly like me, there wouldn't be much reason for both of us to be sitting at the table. There are things that he sees that I don't see. There are things that I see that he doesn't see. And then there are things he does naturally that I've had to learn. Lots of those things, right? And there are things that I bring naturally that strengthen what he brings, right? That's partnership. Okay. Not sameness, but that's partnership, right? And I think one of the greatest gifts two people can give each other is the freedom to be honest without threatening the relationship, right? The freedom to say, I disagree. The freedom to ask, why do you see it that way? Right? The freedom to challenge the idea, to change your mind, and the freedom to apologize, right? And also the freedom to keep building. Sometimes we think respect means never challenging someone. I don't believe that. No. Sometimes respect looks like caring enough about the person and what you're building together to tell the truth. And then staying at the table long enough to work through it. So when I think about what I'm appreciating this week, it's this. We do not have to agree on every decision to be aligned in how we treat each other. I'll say that again. We do not have to agree on every decision to be aligned in how we treat each other. And that matters to me. Now, here's my favorite part. I want to hear from you. Okay. Now, I'm going to put these 4 questions in the chat. Right. Um, y'all gonna have answers for these, okay? Y'all are definitely gonna have answers for these. So here is the first one. Switched it up a little bit on y'all. Hey, when you disagree with someone you care about or work closely with, what's usually the hardest part for you? So again, you can unmute your mic and speak, or if you want to put it in, type it in the chat, you can. When you disagree with someone you care about or work closely with, what's usually the hardest part for you? Or is there a hardest part for you?
I got something here.
All right, sir.
One thing is admitting I'm wrong. It's pride, I
That's
think, is
everybody.
in the
I did
way.
the same. That's everybody. Otis, keep going.
And because everybody wants to know that their opinion is right. And it's humbling yourself, coming back and saying you were not incorrect in your way of seeing the situation, and I was wrong, or I didn't listen, or I didn't do this. It's pretty much the humbling of oneself and admitting your mistake.
All right now, Otis. Okay. You see Pastor Tony is shaking his head. I think we all shaking our head like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, Otis has got a point. I think that's the one.
For
Oh,
me, it's having
go.
patience and not hollering and screaming.
Okay, now, Miss Brenda.
Because,
Oh,
sometimes you get emotional and it just gets you all off spot.
yeah.
Then you start mixing other stuff in. you
Mm.
know?
What about that time when you? I get it, Miss Brenda. Okay.
Right, exactly.
I understand. Now, Miss Brenda, I can understand you. I can feel you. I think because we're both girls. But I don't know about the guys, but I know I feel you. Okay. I do. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Thank you, Miss Brenda. Anyone else before we move to the second question? Give everybody a chance to answer if they want to. Go ahead, Pastor Tony.
Taking it personally. Yeah, what's the old line from the Godfather movies? It's not personal, it's business.
That's it.
So I think, and that ties into what Otis was talking about being humble enough to realize that you're all working towards whatever goal, whether it's somebody that you care about or it's somebody you work with. That it's probably not personal unless you make it personal, which then makes it the situation worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and everything everybody said, yeah, absolutely, because it just piles onto it. But yeah, taking it personal, generally, it's not. It's generally not personal.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Pastor Tony. Yeah, it's that fine difference. Okay. Because yeah, you gotta like I was saying, there's three things. I gotta separate Antonio from what we're talking about, from the idea for yeah. And sometimes for me that's hard because when I have a close relationship with people and we're talking about business or something, I have to tell myself, hey, no, no, no. Yeah, that's your friend. We're not talking about friend. We ain't talking about friend stuff right now. We're talking about business. Okay. So thank you for that, Pastor Tony. All right. Here we go with question number two. Do you feel like you are able to tell the truth in your important relationships without worrying that the relationship will fall apart? Why or why not? I'll read that again. Do you feel like you are able to tell the truth in your important relationships without worrying that the relationship will fall apart? Why or why not? I'll go first if people are thinking. Um, okay. So the relationship I have with Antonio. No, I never worry about if the relationship will fall apart because generally I'm a nervous person. But like I said earlier when I was talking, I'm less nervous coming to him about things now than I was some time ago because we always talk it out. The voices never get raised, tone never changes. And sometimes those conversations are hard and they're hard for me. Okay. Sometimes they're hard for me to have because in my brain, I'm like, I don't know how he gonna take this. I don't know what's gonna happen. And it scares me. But when I just go and he was like, hey, just talk. And so when I finally get it out, we just talk about it. And I know, it's never gonna come. It's a colloquialism. It's never gonna come to blows because I am not trying to fight Antonio. He's a trained killer. Anyway, but but I'm never thinking, man, I'm done with this. No, it'll never that never goes in my brain because I know I can always come to him about anything, and we're gonna talk it out. Even if the conversation is hard and uncomfortable, we're gonna talk it out, and he's gonna always tell me the truth because he'll say, "Hey, okay, you want me here to listen, or you talking to me for me to, you know, talk you through it and tell you how you I think you should go about it and give you some advice and all this kind of stuff." So yeah, all right, go ahead, Otis.
All right. My answer to your question is it depends. It depends on the person because you said a relationship. That means you've known them over time. And some people that can take it. Some people you can talk openly and honestly with. Others will fall apart. Right? So you have to massage your language in order to get a message through it. through to them. So my answer is it depends on the person.
Gotcha. Okay, Otis, I'm gonna use that. You gotta massage your language. Okay, I like that. Thank you, Otis. Anyone else? Go ahead, Pastor Tony.
And I would definitely agree with that. The way that you deliver it matters, but I would also tie this onto it. From the standpoint of just being honest with the person, no matter how you have to deliver it. If I've got to worry about, well, can I be honest with this person who I have a relationship with? How good's the relationship?
You're
You
right.
know, if I have to sit there and make something up to make somebody continue to like me or work with me, it's probably not a healthy relationship in the first place.
Got you.
Yeah, that doesn't mean to Otis's point, you fly off the hook and you say whatever you want to. Like you you become a little too honest, where like, you know, there's that line of, well, we're having an honest conversation about what's going on. And then there's the honest conversation of like, I want to make you feel this big. That's not a good conversation.
Right.
But I think if you have to sit there and think about, well, how honest can I be with this person about whatever the situation is? How good's your relationship? Is it a real relationship? Because it's probably not. I'll use in my house. If I can't have an honest relationship with my family on what's going on, how good is my family life? That doesn't
Right.
mean that I'm cruel in my
Yeah.
honesty. It
Yeah.
just means something's going on. And if we can't have those conversations, I think you got to really look at who it is that's in your circle. Are you being true to yourself? Because you're probably not then.
Gotcha. Thank you so much, Pastor Tony. All right. Got some great convo going here. All right. Anyone else before I move on to the third question? I'll give everybody a chance, an opportunity if they had something to say. All right. We're moving on to the third question. What helps you stay respectful when you strongly disagree with someone? What helps you stay respectful when you strongly disagree with someone? For me, I always, because he would always tell me, and it's a lot of things Antonio said that stay in the back of my brain. But he always says, "Hey, I need you to remember who I am. Remember who I am." So I remember who he is, and not just him. But if I strongly disagree with somebody, I always pause because I'm like, I know I can say some things to fly off the handle, but I pause because I always, when I used to teach, I taught for 11 years, so I would always tell my kids, "Hey, before you decide to do or say whatever you're about to do or say, ask yourself, if I do or say this, is it going to have a good consequence or a bad consequence? Okay. Is something good going to have come from this or something bad going to happen?" And then you pause and you think, okay, but no matter who it is I'm talking to, I just stop. And if I know I'm just going to I'm heated, I say nothing, and I remember who they are and remember who I am. Okay. But yeah, that's me. All right. Yeah, I like answering these questions too, along with y'all. Okay. Anyone else? Let me get the last question ready.
I usually wait. I usually just say we'll finish talking about this later because right now we getting a little too hot, So I'm gonna
Yeah,
think about it and we'll talk about it later.
that's a good thing to do. Yeah. So both of you all can pause and yep, cooler heads can prevail. Thank you, Miss Brenda.
Yes.
All right. All right. Anyone else before I go to our final question? Okay. Last question. Is there a relationship in your life right now that will become stronger with better communication, more listening, and more grace? And not this grace. Okay. Is there a relationship in your life right now that will become stronger with better communication, more listening, or more grace? Ouch. I'm thinking along with y'all. I think, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead,
I
Pastor.
was just honestly, probably all of them.
Right. I was going, yeah.
I mean, that's the reality is it's probably all of them.
Right.
I could be better at all
Yeah.
those, and every one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think every relationship that we have there's always room for improvement with better communication, stronger communication, and more listening and more grace. That business partner of mine, he tells me that all the time because he knows when I get heated with people, he say, "Hey, give them people grace, please. Give them people grace. You don't know what they're going through. They could be doing this and that. They could be doing the best they can with what they have. So yeah, I did. Every time I got a problem with somebody, I come to him because I know he gonna tell me the truth. He gonna tell me you are tripping. Stop it. Okay, and then he'll let me know. Hey, this ABC. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I may not like it, but I'll be like, okay. So all right. Anyone else before we close out? Okay. Oh, go ahead, sir. You have something? Okay.
Yeah, I just as a parting gift, I suppose, like all this stuff is gonna sound wild, but it's all this stuff is pretty easy for me, but not for the reasons that you think. I am not a good person. I do not claim to be a good person. I am a very evil, wicked person. I just have it under voluntary control. So I don't get mad at people. You don't you've never seen me have a bad day. You just don't see it. Not because, but it's not because I've learned. That's not it. It's not because I've got the Lord in me. That's not it. It's not. It is because I've let the Lord get so much in me. I'm a piece of crap. And I never forget that I'm a piece of crap. And so when Antonio does something wrong to me, I know I've done worse to him or someone else. And that allows me to tell Grace what you say, hey, chill out. That whatever, whatever Nisha did, it's not that serious. And she heard me tell somebody the other day, this is evil, by the way, what I'm about to say, but it's appropriate. It's evil and angry. I was like, what are you doing? Like, you're not having a bad day. Did your children die today? She was like, no. Hey, did your son get hit by a car? Is he dead? Are you dead? Well, then, you know what? It's not a bad day. If your children are not dead, it is not a bad day. And this is what I do. I say, I make sure whenever I'm going off the handle, I imagine my children dead. And I say, you know what? It's not that bad. I'm not telling you this is right. I'm just telling you, you're having a bad day when your children are dead. If that's not the case, you're having a bad moment. You're not having a bad day.
Thank you, sir. Listen, it puts a lot of things in perspective. All right.
So true.
Very true. Okay, Miss Brenda.
In the big scheme of things, you're not really having a bad day. It's just something that's happening, which is life and things happen. So that's putting it in perspective. It ain't that bad. You not rushed to the emergency room. It ain't
Hello.
that bad.
Okay. Okay, now, Miss Brenda.
You still here.
Yep.
It'll be okay.
That's it. All right. Thank you, Miss Brenda. Yeah, Pastor Tony said this is your head. That's what that is. It's all your head. All right. Okay. Um, what I really want us to think about this morning is that disagreement doesn't automatically mean something is wrong with the relationship. Sometimes disagreement is actually an opportunity to find out how strong a relationship really is, right? Can we tell the truth to each other? Can we listen without immediately becoming defensive? That's what I work on. I work on it every day because he this special forces guy over here, he knows what your facial expressions are like. And so he'll tell me something and he'll see something in my face. He'll say, I know you didn't like that. I know you got defensive. I'm like, man, it's not fair. Okay. First off, don't do that. It's not fair. But yes, micro expressions. That's what it is. Can we listen without immediately becoming defensive? And can we disagree without trying to punish each other? Right? Can we leave the conversation still knowing we may not agree on this, but we're still good? Okay. That kind of relationship is worth building. Right? So as we close, here's the thought I want to leave you with this week. Agreement is not the requirement. Respect is. Agreement is not the requirement. Respect is. Strong relationships are not strong because difficult conversations never happen. No, they're strong because the people inside those relationships know how to have difficult conversations without destroying each other, right? You can disagree and still listen. You can disagree and still respect each other. You can disagree and still laugh together afterward. You can disagree and still build something extraordinary together. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can say to somebody you care about is, I don't agree with you, but I'm still here. Let's figure this out. All right? Disagreement does not have to become disrespect. Okay? Disagreement does not have to become disrespect. Conflict does not have to become division. And being on opposite sides of one decision doesn't mean you're on opposite sides of the relationship. Right? So this week, when disagreement comes, and eventually it will, don't just ask, how do I prove my point? What you really want to ask is, how do we protect the relationship while we work through the problem? That may be the more important question. So as always, ladies and gents, thanks for spending this part of your morning with me. Thank you for bringing your real self, as always, into the room. I love it. Okay? Very grateful we get to build together. And I will meet you back here at the table next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. This is your girl, Grace. I will see you at the top, not from the top. Have a great Monday and a wonderful week. Love you, everybody.